I think we have to be honest with ourselves about the fact that the process of a man getting sex and the process of a woman getting sex are viewed completely different, and they are completely different. The reality is that one of the reasons why men are not judged the same is because for a man to sleep with women, he has to present a level of value. The average person is going to say, what's great about him that he can be getting all these different women? Is he just a smooth talker? Does he have money? Is he packing, whatever? Like, you're thinking something is great about this dude that he can get all these women. And more specifically, if they're desirable women, if they look like women that, well, dang, a lot of men will be happy to have that, and he's just getting this one and that one. So now it actually can intrigue a woman because she wants to know what's so special about him, okay? But now let's flip it. A woman having sex with a bunch of different men doesn't require any special talent. It doesn't require, all it requires is for her to say she's open for business. I hope that doesn't sound too bad, but that's really what it is. I used this analogy before where if a straight man walked into a bar and says, I'm here for sex, right?
It's like,
People are gonna look at him like he's crazy, all right? And he's probably walking out with nothing, okay? If a woman walks in and says, I'm here for sex, there's a line of guys who are gonna come to her, whether outright or maybe like behind the scenes, they're gonna try to creep their way to her. They're coming. All she has to say is, I'm willing. So now the woman is viewed like you're giving this away so freely to men rather than you're getting these men to sleep with you. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why it immediately gets viewed differently, because it's like, why aren't you holding to a higher standard and being more selective of who you give this to? Because you can give it to whoever you pretty much want to.
Ooh.
Now, the relationship expert further went on to add some biological context to his claims.
We're running away from biological facts about men and women, all right? And I think that this fight for equality is going against the need for balance and an understanding of our differences that create harmony. So one of the things I mentioned is how the argument that women want sex just as much as men, I think is pure nonsense, okay? I think a woman could want sex as much as a man, all right? So there are women out there with extremely high sex drives, but on average, women are not wired to want sex as much as men, simply looking at testosterone and estrogen. Testosterone increases libido. If you gave a woman testosterone injections, libido goes up. Any woman who started to work out will tell you she started to feel hornier after she started working out consistently, because it's raising her testosterone, which raises her libido. So we naturally have a higher libido, a higher desire, a higher need for sexual interaction than the average woman does. So when we engage in that, we're gonna be viewed differently than the woman engaging in that, because it's viewed more so as this biological need that we're trying to manage.
Mr. Stefan also believes that promiscuity in women, 9 times out of 10, isn't natural. And here is the reason why.
And if we're honest, a lot of women who are very promiscuous, there tends to be something else going on behind that. It's not just sex driven. I'll give you one example. I knew a girl, and I'm someone who, I don't judge anyone. And if a woman's promiscuous, I'm not judging her neither, but I do understand that there might be deeper issues at play sometimes. But with this woman, this is gonna sound crazy, but she had slept with 3 guys and they were all friends, okay? And we're talking about it, and I said, what are you doing? I said, I know you can't tell me those 3 men are satisfying you sexually. So what's your motive here? And she stopped and she said, you're right. It was kind of the thrill of it. Like, the actual content of sex wasn't what it was. It was, I guess, this idea that she can get all 3 of these guys, and that made her feel a certain kind of way, empowered, and she was riding off of that high. But the actual sex was mediocre at best, And so this, a lot of times for a lot of women, again, it doesn't mean there aren't women out there with high libidos who are being driven by their own true sexual desires. I had another woman once where she was told growing up by her father she was ugly and that she was only good for laying on her back. So she became a very promiscuous woman. But it wasn't because she was so much enjoying the sex. It's because she felt like that's her only value in life. So she just continuously gave herself to men in that way. So it's just that we have to understand that what leads to those behaviors are very different for men and women in the vast majority of cases. And so because of that, that leads to a different view or quote unquote judgment on those individuals because they're engaging in such acts. And I think everyone has to be honest with themselves about the why. Why are you actually doing this? You know, if it is really who you are and you are happy and at peace as a woman, then you have to just accept that regardless of how society may view you, you're living in your truth. All right? And be at peace with that. But we're never going to get the rest of the world to always look at things the way that we want to look at them or we want them to look at it. And we shouldn't let them stop us from being who we truly are.
But please, let's be mindful of the context in his claims. Mr. Stefan acknowledged over and over again that there are exceptions to the rule. So he didn't bracket all women and say that every one of them fits into his claims. However, this does not in any way mean that promiscuity is encouraged for men and discouraged for women. Not at all. Promiscuity is bad for all genders because the reality of the matter is that sex is an exchange of energy. So when you're promiscuous, even if you try as much as possible to practice safe sex so that you don't get STD, sexually transmitted diseases, the truth of the matter is that you will still inevitably end up getting another form of STD, which is sexually transmitted demons. It's a must. You can't escape that if you're promiscuous. Anyways, what's your thoughts on how our society judge women differently for having a high body count? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let's engage. And please, kindly lend your support to this small channel by simply liking this video and clicking that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel so you will continue getting more thought-provoking content like this one. Your support, as simple as those gestures might seem, would honestly mean the world to me. Thank you for watching. I am David Ajibo, and I'm glad to have you here. Cheers.